This is Physics 1010, the way things work. So if you're in the wrong class, get up now. Or don't, stay. You're welcome. You guys excited? Oh, I am seeing some head nods. All right. Raise your hand. Who likes the first day of class? Yeah, okay, you guys are like my wife. She likes it too. I hate it. All right, okay, I hated. For me, it was always like, oh, everybody tells me, goes through the syllabus and all the assignments, and you're aware of all the workload, and I just feel overwhelmed and drained or whatever. I have to admit, for me in college, the thing I disliked the most was the fact that I never felt like I was caught up. In high school, I could go home, do my homework, and I was good, at least till the next day. But in college, there's always something you can be working on or reading, and that doesn't change for my class, sorry. But I had to get used to that, and it took me a while, so I can sympathize. Whereas my wife, on the other hand, was like, oh, well, let me explain it this way. We used to work in the same place, a copy/bookstore, and a good day for her. How was your day? Oh, it was great. People came in, there was lots of customers, and I showed them all this, and we had all these things to do, and blah, blah, blah. And, that was a bad day for me. My good day was, oh yeah, it was quiet, I could get my work done, hardly anybody came in, got caught up. So, that's how I feel on the first day. No, I'm not just babbling, and you're going, is this guy ever going to teach anything? I never liked those instructors that, all right, welcome to physics. So, here's a formula. You will definitely get to know me in this class. If you don't, you're not paying attention. My intent is, sorry, I see I already lost somebody. Today's nothing hardcore. I am going over the syllabus a bit, but not as much. You're just deciding whether you wanted to take this class? So you don't even know what your class was titled. Okay. Well, that's always fun. Syllabus and whatnot. And then the first chapter in our textbook is called About Science. So that's what I blocked out for today. Nothing too meaty. Then tomorrow or Wednesday we'll start in chapter 2 on Newton's first law. But before I get going into logistics and things, do you have any questions that you can think of already? Things you're worried about, wondering about? In theory, I'll answer some of those, but just ask me up front if you want. Let's get them out of the way. Things that are bothering you.
Yeah, by the time this class is over, will I know how the refrigerator makes things cold? Are you going to go over that?
Well, by the time it's over, will you understand a refrigerator better?
Yeah.
Partially. Yeah, the hardest thing for me, I have to admit, well, short answer, that involves heat and thermodynamics, and we're going to cover some of that, but not all. So, yeah, somewhat.
That's a serious question.
Yeah. The hardest thing for me in this course, what took me the longest in preparing for this, is I sit down and I go through all the topics. We cannot cover the whole book as much as I'd love to, because I'm like, oh, we can't not do that. That's so cool. But this too, and it just doesn't work. So deciding what we were covering was the hardest thing for me. So I at least left some heat and thermo in there, though I'm leaving out the thermodynamic laws. We'll learn about energy conservation and whatnot. When we get there, though, that being said, I don't mind adding little bits here and there and relating it to a refrigerator. You remind me. I can do that to help teach what I'm doing. Yeah. Is there another hand? Other questions? What do you think physics is? I mean, if you have to go home and your roommate, I'm taking a physics class. What's physics? Or you call your mom up. Well, how do you define physics to them?
This is going to be super cliched and poetic, but
Good.
To me, physics, like mathematics, is the language that helps you understand how the universe works.
Physics, like mathematics, is the language that helps you understand how the universe works. I love that. Well, and if you think it's cliche, it doesn't matter. It's true. So kudos to you. A lot of people say mathematics is the language of physics because you use it a lot. Probably of all well, I don't know of all the physics classes, but most of the physics classes use a whole lot more math than we will. I don't hide from it. We'll solve problems. You'll have basic algebra. But equations are more guides to thinking. They're going to make connections for us. They're a shorthand way to help us remember some laws and principles. So I'll be writing them on the board and sharing them with you a lot. But we won't have to solve rigorous mathematical problems. But the language of physics does help us explain everything in the universe. Well, okay, not everything, but a lot. How else would you describe physics? Who would like to add to that? Because as accurate as that is, it's a little vague. It's all-encompassing. What do you think? Since we're going to be together for a whole semester, you might as well tell me some more. And you can get used to this too. I disliked instructors that asked a question and didn't give you time to respond, or they just gave you the answer right afterwards. Or I'm fishing for a specific answer, and so, oh no, never mind. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions in this class, so I might as well tell you now. I'm expecting participation. Even if you're shy about your English or knowledge and you don't want to talk in front of the whole class, I understand that, I really do. But you have to at least commit in your head. Are you thinking of something in your head? Like how would you define physics? Are you just sitting there waiting for me to give you the answer and somebody to answer? You're not going to learn near as much as somebody that engages. It's your class. You're going to get out of it what you put into it. I'm going to provide you with information and try to point out connections for you. But if you guys don't think about this and practice in your head, at least in your head, you won't get near as much out of it, and I can't help that. That's my disclaimer, I guess, but I'll work hard. So, at least if you're not going to raise your hand, at least decide in your head, how do you think you would define it, even if you're afraid to mention it. But somebody, what do you think physics covers? Be more specific. Yes?
Forces.
Forces, good. It does include forces. What else?
Motion.
Probably just like the physical world around us and the laws that govern us.
Absolutely. The whole physical world around us, all those physical laws, such as motion, forces. I'll give you yours, heat and thermodynamics. What else is involved? What's that? Energy, absolutely. Gravity and friction, excellent. Light, good. It explains how you can see me, different colors. What else? What's that? Sounds, yes. Vibrations and waves, absolutely. How you can hear me. It can explain how the sound's getting to you. You said electricity. What's on your refrigerator, probably? Magnetism. We got that. There's nuclear physics. I think you guys actually covered most of them. So, waves, sound, fluids, and gases like pressure and airplanes, how they can fly. And again, we will not be able to cover everything, but quite a bit. Some of you will be dreading, like, oh, dang it, another chapter? But okay. So again, I'm Adam Beehler, that's my name, and the syllabus. Let's go through what we're going to learn in this class. So, now I can douse the lights a little. So, that you can find the syllabus, if any of you have tried, you can go to Canvas well actually it's not in Canvas, but under your courses, and you click on it, it should go to a custom homepage directing you to WebAssign, which you'll see in a second, which is where I'm headed. But if you forget that or you don't know how to do that, you can go to the Department of Physics and Astronomy's website. This is the main page. And over here in the upper left, you see courses. You can click on that and see a lot of the courses being taught this semester. Well, look at that, I'm right at the beginning, but that's just because we're 10-10. So, the way things work, that's how you spell my name. Click on it and they direct you to WebAssign. This is the online homework site that we're using. This is how you'll turn in your homework. And so I decided instead of sending you back and forth between Canvas and WebAssign, we'll just stay in WebAssign until Canvas figures out how to integrate WebAssign with them. Actually, it's the other way around. but someday they'll do that. So when you get here, this is the universities, and down on the bottom left, you can log in. You use your UID, here's mine, and your password, being a student. And it'll take you into WebAssign, although this is what I see. You see this. And don't freak out. You have 2 weeks to use this for free. So you'll be able to accomplish anything you need for the time being. This message will come up. It tells you have a grace period until Monday, January 20th. Let's say you don't register in time. It doesn't delete all your work that you've done. It just denies you access until you pay the small fee. Sorry, there's another fee to use this for them to manage it. So to begin with, you can just hit continue my trial period. And check this out and start using it and getting familiar with it. But sometime before January 20th, you'll need to purchase access. They changed it and didn't tell me, but I was thinking it was less than $40. Okay. Yes?
Is that automatically added into your tuition when they send you the bill?
No, this will be a completely separate purchase through them. Yeah. This is...
We have to pay like with a credit card or something?
Yes. They don't have a way for you to just do this before you're ever into the class. So to begin with, I made these available as soon as class started. Sorry, there's already 2 homework assignments. They're not that hard. But so you can get a feel for this. They remodeled these lecture halls. I think they're way nicer. Except where they put the connection to the laptop, I have to keep walking around there. So you'll see your assignments here. There's communication. That's like a, not necessarily like a chat room, but where you can do discussions. I have it open for you guys to use. I'm not requiring it. I don't intend to post things there and, okay, now everybody meet this. Well, like some classes do. I've considered it. However, I have learned that when you guys talk to each other, you learn a lot more than when you listen to me sometimes. Somehow it doesn't sink in. And you guys are going to have very similar problems. So, your teachers say this. If you're afraid to ask a question because you don't want to sound dumb, well, it is true. I hear that. Somebody comes up to me afterwards or sends me an email, and then I tell them, I've had 5 other people ask me that same question. You can go here. You can open up a discussion on homework number 2 and say, I'm having trouble with problem such and such. And if you guys monitor it, that will be an excellent resource for you guys. But if only 2 people ever frequent it, it won't help you. So it's available. It's a resource for you guys to use. So I have opened it and allowed you. I'll tell you right now, the grades, how this tallies your grade, don't trust it. Not that it doesn't work, but I'm using this for your online homework. But there's other points in this class. You're not taking your exams through here. There's a paper, there's participation points, and it doesn't have all those. So if you go to your grades on WebAssign during the semester and you see you have a D, that's not true. So I'll just relieve you now. But this will record your homework assignments so you can see what you're getting on all your homework and tally that. Homework is going to be 30% of your overall grade. So it's a third of your grade. Down here is resources. This is where I'll post things that I want you to have access to. That's what you'll probably check out first. The syllabus is there in PDF format that I'll pull up in a moment. And you can learn everything you need to know about this class that I'm not telling you today. And the first homework assignment, I've always wanted to do this, so you're the first semester. This homework assignment right there is all about class logistics and the syllabus, so it should be easy if you read it. Frankly, I got tired of people last year asking me the same questions over and over again that are right there in the syllabus. How do I do this? When's the final? I mean, it's right there. It's just making sure by answering them, I'll know all of you have at least seen when the final is. You know the date. Things like that. The second homework will be on physics. So that's the syllabus. Here's the class schedule. Let me scroll. At the top you have, where did it go? Calendar. I'm not using that one. Anytime I put an assignment in that's doing WebAssign, it's going to show up there. But again, we have other things. And personally, I find it easier, and mainly because you can print this one. The WebAssign calendar doesn't print well, I think. And I like having all the info on one thing. So I did it for you and me. That's right here. This lists when the homeworks are due, what I am intending to cover that for this lecture. You might say, what are we covering next lecture? You can see. When's your paper due? You'll see in the exams and so on. So if I update it, I'll tell you. I try to work hard. So here's your paper, instructions about your paper. I will tell you now that it's designing your own superhero. The main reason I do this, you're like, physics class? I thought we didn't have to write. It's probably the only physics class here where you do have to write anything. And the reason I do that goes along kind of with your participation. It's true, there's studies, and it works for me and most students, that when you try to formulate something in your own head, which is why I want you to commit and at least think through something, even if you're not going to answer. When you try to explain something to someone else, you kind of find your holes and your weaknesses. Unfortunately, a lot of times, I'm going to go through a lecture, and you guys are going to feel good. I got it. That made sense. That was fun. But the next day, you're like, I understood it when he said it, but now I'm confused. Hopefully that won't happen as often as I like, but it will happen. I won't deny. When you try to reformulate it, either through writing or talking, you'll really find out what you do know and what you don't know, so that you can fix it and do better than on the next homework, or you haven't finished the homework, or the exams. And the superhero paper, I thought it's a fun way to do it. Basically, you're going to pick a superpower. It can obey the laws of physics or not. You just have to justify it and explain to me that law. You're going to pick a fundamental principle, whether we cover it or not, whether we've gotten to it or not. You pick one, and the superhero can break it or has to obey it. You just have to justify how so. It's not very long, less than 2 pages, and all the gritty details are right there. When it's due. There's 3 deadlines. I've learned I need to ask students to submit their idea ahead of time, and so they're not spending the weekend before doing the whole thing. So you'll have to come up with a superhero name, his principle, and some sources, and inform me of that. And I'll check, give you some points. And then I'm going to have you peer review your paper, at least with one other person. It explains it in there. And that's a week before it's due. Up to a week. You can do this anytime, and I encourage you to do it earlier. But if you haven't done it by a certain date, you won't get the points. It's easy. It's like pick somebody in the class, ask them to edit it. What do you think? Make some comments and sign it, and then you guys come to me and show me, and I give you points. Because you'll learn a lot from reading someone else's. Go, oh, that's how they did that. I'm probably doing this wrong. Or I like that idea. I should incorporate that in my hero, or whatever. Or, oh, wow, this really was annoying to read. I hope mine's not like that. I know you guys will be honest with your friends because it's for the feedback. And then it's due. And it's due, what did they make? April 2nd. So you have most of the semester. And that's the deadline. You can turn it in any time before then. So that's all I'll say at this point till you've had a chance to read it. And then I'm sure I'll have to go over this as people add the course and you have questions. But I'll give you a chance to read that more fully. Here's a good example. I thought this was an excellent paper that a past student wrote, and she gave me permission. So I put that there because I like to see examples. So there you go. Just checking. Okay, I can do some announcements here. There's the book that's required. If you haven't got it yet, who hasn't got it yet? That's typical. I learned most college students, I wait anyway because maybe the professor wasn't serious. I'm serious. I can't force you to go get it, but this will be your friend. It's Conceptual Physics by Paul Hewitt. I'm following the 11th edition. It has great examples. Your homework and tests and a lot of the questions I'll ask in class come from this author, so they're all the same type, because every semester I get it. Oh, your exam questions, they were so different from your homework. I picked them from the same bank. It's like I go through them. Oh, yeah, I'm going to ask this one in class. Oh, that one's good for homework. Oh, this one's a good on the test. So you can get used to him. I love this book. I picked Paul Hewitt because of the way he teaches. I understand him better. In my mind, it's still a textbook, but this is more enjoyable to read than a lot of textbooks. It's information. He at least tries to make it interesting. And I will hold you to what's in here and what I discuss in class. They're large majority the same thing. And if you can't always understand it the way I put it, maybe you'll understand the way he put it. Even better, and I know you guys are busy, but it really is true, if you can read, not understand, just read before we get to that topic, then when we're in class, I promise more light bulbs will go off. Oh, or at least, I remember reading that. Yeah, there was something to do with that. And then when you go back, it will make more sense. But anyway, that's the book. Enough of that. A lot of people in WebAssign, if it's new to you, up here, notifications. Check that out so you can see about email. Because if you're in WebAssign and you want to just ask me a question, I have it directed to my email. You can direct it where you want it. And or whether every time I make a change, like I post an announcement, do you want to know that in your email or wait till you log into WebAssign? Those type of things. So you can have a few options there so you know whether or not I posted something. The due dates are always listed. So like these, you have this week. They're due, that's Sunday night. I finish chapters 1 and 2 this week. So then you'll have time to do that. You can start on those now. You can save your work. You submit when you're ready, when you're done. Just be sure you save your work or you have to do it again. Most of the time it's multiple choice, but I will ask you to justify a lot of your answers. It's short answer. If you can't justify it in several sentences, you probably don't understand it as well as you think. My intent isn't for you to write a paper in each question, just if you justify your answer. For example, you'll see in this one there's like a yes/no, some yes/no questions. Yes. Well, why? And you just have to tell me. Why I chose this. How are we doing? Yeah, pretty good. I really like WebAssign online homework. Main reason, you guys will learn better. As a student, I wish I would have had this. Example, a lot of them are multiple choice. Let's say there's 4 selections, and you choose A. If it's wrong, you lose some points, but you get another chance. Usually, by default, if say there's 4, I give you 3 chances. So by the time you finish guessing, you'll know the correct answer when you leave, right then. Remember those assignments where you turn it in, you don't know if you're right, and then the instructor doesn't turn your paper back in until the night before the exam, and you're like, how was I supposed to study? I hated that. Well, this, you'll know the answer by the time you're done, or you should. You might not understand it because it took you 3 tries to get there, but you'll know the answer and can work backwards. Once the homework's due date's up, then you can go back and see what the answers are and any explanation or solution I added, if it needed it. Each time, though, you guess, you will lose some points. It's 50% off each time. So, if a question's 1 point and you miss it the first time, well, now you can still get a half a point if you get it right the next time. If you miss it again, well, now you can at least get a quarter of a point. So you can still at least get points. And I like that, instead of just all or nothing. I strongly encourage you to, I'm just going to say it now, I can see who goes back and looks at the answer keys. So, 1, don't come complaining to me that, my computer broke down and I wasn't able to turn in the homework. Well, one, you've had all week, and two, wait a minute, you've looked at the answer key. I can tell. But what I really want is, most students never go back and look at it. So you don't see any of my explanations or solutions, and so you're not learning it as well as I figured you could. And that'll help on the exam. Anyway, that's about the homework and why I'm doing this. Do you guys have any questions at this point yet? Break up my monotony.
Is there going to be any TA or?
Yes, I'll cover that now. We get one teaching assistant, and I emailed her last week. I just got this. That's in the syllabus too. Whoops, down here. Her name, and I'll update it because she just told me. She Thursday, blah, blah, blah. I've checked WebAssign, blah, blah, blah. She'll be going over a lot of your written answers on WebAssign to see that they make sense. But she has offered to have office hours, and I can remind you, and I'll update this, but if you want to write it down now, Monday and Wednesday from 2 to 4. Not sure about my office for this semester yet. I guess I could work on James Fletcher Building, this one, 219, before I get a room number. So Monday and Wednesday from 2 to 4 in room 219 for the moment. They shuffle graduate students around every semester, I guess. But I'll update you. And she's willing to answer questions and help with homework. Her name is... I made that a question in the homework, so you have to look it up. Almost gave you an answer. It's real tough. Me too. I'm available. You can come ask me questions. My office is right behind this wall. My main job in this department is lecture demonstration specialist. That means I do demonstrations in lecture. I'm an educational resource. And behind this door is shelves upon shelves of equipment. I don't know, some of you can see. And so I get everything ready. And I love demonstrations. I think they're going to help a lot. And I do more than anybody else. So we're going to have probably a demonstration every day, except exam days and maybe today, because I'm boring logistics. Maybe I'll just do one anyway, just to fit it in. So that's what I do. So I'm back here. So I have to admit, right before class and right after class, I'm fairly busy because I switch out this class and another class and set up 2 more. So for that 15-minute window in between classes, it's hectic for me. But as soon as that's over, I can talk. And I do that for all the classes. Thus, you can just contact me like, can we pick a time I can come in and talk to you? Sure. Or you can just, chance it and knock on my door. You can get to it outside this door to the right. There's a doorbell. Or just call me or email me, whatever. I'm very willing to make it work. I'm just always back here setting up all the courses. What else do I want to make sure you know about for now? If I click on the syllabus, get an idea what it looks like. Yeah, all my contact info's there, the name of the course, the text, the prerequisites, the course description, what this course is intended to cover, all this good stuff I do want you to know about, hence you'll need to read for the homework. Clickers. As you saw, if you registered, I'm requiring clickers. How many have not purchased one? That's typical too. You have 2 options. This is for, who's never used one of these, I guess, before? Let's see. Okay, so quite a few. This is for, they call it a student engagement system or an audience response system. It's a way that you can respond to questions I ask live. I can get immediate feedback and correct what I'm saying or realize, I didn't explain that as well as I could because clearly everybody missed it. Let me fix that. Or a way to kind of test you at the end and check your knowledge to give you guys an idea that, I missed all those. I obviously did not get it. That's where I'm going to need to do my focus. So you can purchase these. On the syllabus, it can tell you how to purchase it too. I mean, you can get it at the bookstore, but there's also an e-commerce site that the university has, and you can purchase it there's a discount. I don't know what the bookstore charges, 30 or 40. Online you can get it at 30. Yes?
If I have another class that requires one of those, do I need
No, this should work for other classes that you're using this. This is the university standard, so if you've already purchased one or you need it in another class, it should work for each of those classes. Now, some people are using some other systems, and the university can't stop them, and it might not work. Like if Top Hat is another response system, and that's different than this, and then you can go complain to them. You're not using the university standard. Anyway, do you have a question?
No, I think when I went to the bookstore and bought mine, it was like $40, but at the end of the semester, they'll buy it back.
They will buy this back like textbooks.
Yeah.
Yes. There's a code they gave me for our university to go to this e-commerce site, and on there it said $30. So if you want, you can return it and buy it there, or buy it and make sure you get it. But that's in my syllabus. There's a second option, and that's called responseware. And it explains it in my syllabus. And that means you can use a mobile device, a phone, iPad, laptop, and respond that way. Because if you already own one of those, then what you do is you purchase a license for it. And it is cheaper than this. I think it's $12 or $32-ish, depending on whether you buy it for a year or 4 years. And that allows you then to log in that way and answer the questions. Either way, you'll need to register, and there's a number associated with your device that's tagged to you, so I can give you points. And I intend to use these most lectures, so you can read and learn about that. I think it's more fun. Most students I've asked, every semester I've done this, have enjoyed them. Of course, it depends on how I use them, but I think I use them well. You let me know. Does that make sense? So you'll need to get one of those. I will use them for participation points, as explained in my syllabus. So if you come to class and I ask a question and you answer it, you get points for that, whether you're right or wrong. It's to encourage your participation and commit to something, because you'll learn more if you think about it first, instead of just, I don't know, see. Sure, you'll still get participation points, but you won't learn as much. Thus, some of the questions, and I'll warn you, typically at the end of the lecture for checking your understanding after we've discussed it, I'm going to give some bonus points. If you do get it right, you'll get a few more points to encourage you to pay attention and prepare and study it beforehand. That way it's an easy way to get more points. This week, well, I'm not doing it today. I could start doing it tomorrow or Wednesday, but I realize you don't all have it yet. So don't worry. I'm intending at the moment that none of the points will matter this week, but we'll start up next week. Give you a chance to get where you're going. Make sure they're working and logged in and all that good stuff. Yep. Oh, and if you haven't noticed, the lectures are being recorded by the university because we paid for it and asked them to. So thank you very much. And this is for your aid. The syllabus explains this too. Well, you can think of the good uses for this, but it's for you. I hope it helps you.
The lectures are online.
They will be. So he's going to, he'll finish it and tidy it up and process it, put it online and tell me that, it's available. Great. I'll get it, and I'm going to stick it on YouTube. The department has a channel, and I will give you that link once I've posted the first one so you know where to go. And generally, they're pretty good. I usually get them the same day, thus I can post them and have it up, in 24 hours, or at least by the next lecture, so you can go back. Now, I just caution you, if you depend on this and it fails, it's your own fault. It's there for a help, review, if you have to miss. But if you're going to miss, think, I don't have to come to class now. And it never loads, well, sorry, you're out of luck. There's resources to help you in the syllabus as well. Okay, enough of that. Did the calendar, got that, the paper, did that. That's enough. I'll tell you about that later. Any questions?
Sorry, I have another question.
No, that's good.
In answering our problems and questions and on tests, how much mathematics is in that?
Minimal? Yeah, prerequisite is basic algebra. We're going to set up an equation and solve for a variable. You might have to manipulate and move them from one side to another, but they're not complicated. That's about the extent of math. Mostly it's conceptual. Most of the questions are conceptual, not problematic. Even if you have to solve something to get a number, it's usually because I make you think first, well, what am I supposed to do? Oh, that, okay. And then it's something simple mathematically, generally.
So would you say we don't need a calculator?
Most people find it helpful. Yeah, I mean, there's some numbers that you probably don't want to do in your head. Just because 65.2 divided by 3.8, I don't want to do that in my head. But
So is the grading scale just like A, B, C, or is it like
yeah, I'm traditional. That's in the syllabus, but yeah, 90, 80, 70, 60, A, B, C, yeah. So you have a chance now to go look at all this stuff, the syllabus, the superhero paper, play around in WebAssign, open up those homework, see and read. And you guys might have more questions later, which is great, and we'll discuss them.
So WebAssign is just for this class?
Yes. A lot of physics classes use it, but I don't know about other departments. So you should be able to access and see all that right away. Just remember, you'll have 2 weeks to purchase access. If after that and you miss homework because you haven't done it, then yeah, you'll miss those points. I will not hold you it happens. It's technology. WebAssign can go down. If so, and you weren't able to turn in your homework, I'm fair. We'll work it out. It happens. Okay. Anything else? All right, in the remaining, what do we got? 10 minutes? Chapter 1 is pretty easy. It's quick. When you read it, I can tell you now, I'm not testing you or asking you anything about. I'm going to need that. He talks about some history of how Eratosthenes measured the size of the earth and the size of the moon and the distance to the moon. I find it very interesting. It adds to this. But specifically, I'm not holding you to it. So you say, well, good, I'm not going to read it. Okay. But when it gets to scientific method and the scientific attitude, that stuff is what's important to me. And basically what I'd like you to know is science is, I like his definition, a way of knowing about the world and making sense of it. It's generic, but it's true. It's kind of like your definition of physics. It helps us understand the physical world, the universe. There's principles and laws governing them that explain what we see, and that's what science tries to do. Physics is one type of science, and we've discussed what it covers. You can look at the table of contents in your book and see what it covers. But you guys have heard of a few things, and so we need to clarify. One, a scientific method. How many of you had to do science fair projects as a kid? Actually, I didn't have to, but I did. Did you like it? Oh, those that did it are nodding. Okay. My daughter's doing one right now. What's it called? Does color affect your heartbeat? She came up with it. She's excited about it, so I'm excited about it. So she's going to have people look at colors, and she knows it affects feelings and moods. And so does that have a direct translation in affecting the rate of their heart? So she's going to monitor it while she asks them questions and have them look at them. We'll see if it works or not. She'll learn something. Basically, that's the scientific method. You start with a question. How many of you consider yourself scientists? Raise your hand. Any of you already? Oh, we got some sort of. Well, technically, you're all non-science majors, right? Or none of you are physics majors, I don't think. Usually, they're not in this class. Are you? Woo-hoo! And but what I'm here to tell you is most people are naturally naturally like scientists. You just forgot about it. Kids are natural scientists. What do they always do? They're asking why, how, or they see something cool. Come on, how many of you go, whoa, that was neat? Or somebody sent you a video, or you see it out in the world. That's cool. How's that work? Why does it do that? That's scientists. That's scientific inquiry. You're asking a question. What happens if blah, blah, blah? You know. Well, the difference between a normal person and a scientist is, do you go, whoa, that was cool. It was like magic. I wish I knew how that worked. Yeah. And a normal person doesn't follow it up, where a scientist would then form a hypothesis and do some research and try to figure it out a little bit, maybe do an experiment. So what's a hypothesis? Anybody already know? Have you heard of hypothesis? I'm going to pause. And don't take this as racism. It's just a fact. There's several Asians enrolled in this course. If your English is poor, as it's been in past classes, it's okay if you want a dictionary. You know, I saw a lot of people struggling. I don't want you to cheat, and I will be checking. But even on exams, like if you don't understand a word, ask me. I want you to miss it because no, I don't want you to miss it, but I don't want you to get a problem wrong just because you didn't understand some English. So you can have one of those translators or something. So let me know if I say a word and you don't know what I'm talking about, okay? I realize there's several of you, or anybody. You don't have to be Asian, obviously, but I just know there's several of you this semester enrolled. So what's a hypothesis? Yes?
A scientific guess.
A scientific guess, that's good. What were you going to say? Go. Yeah. An educated guess. Educated scientific guess. You want to add? If then, yes, all of those would work. I generally, the short answer is an educated guess. Basically, hypotheses are what I'm going to be asking you, probing you for all semester. I don't expect you to know the answer. You don't know it already, actually. If you did, why are you doing the project or asking the question, right? But you got a question that's basically saying, well, if that's true, it's probably because of this. So you're making a guess based on prior knowledge. It's an educated guess, you know, when we're involving science. So when I ask you questions, you'll go, well, I think it's this based on what I know, but I don't really know. It's okay if you're wrong. You don't learn anything. If you already know everything, you don't need to be here. It's fine. We learn more from our mistakes. So a hypothesis is an educated scientific guess. And so she forms one, what she thinks the answer is, what she expects the outcome to be, and then she designs an experiment, a procedure to figure out and test this so that she could actually learn something from it. And you deal with controls or whatnot. Then what do? You analyze your results and you revise a new hypothesis and go back and learn some more, right? That's the gist of a scientific method. You guys will, whether you realize it or not, will be doing that a lot just in solving homework problems. Because I'll ask you, you won't know the answer. You'll, I think it's this because of this. Let me go check. You'll do some research. You'll review my lecture, your notes, and look in the textbook. Oh, I think it's this. Then I'll tell you, dang, I got it, or WebAssign will say, you got it wrong. Revise, okay, I was thinking this, but clearly, and you get the idea. People use it all the time and don't realize it. It's just a basic, simple method. I want you to be aware of that. Also in science, we deal with some terms called fact, law, and theories. And they're a little different than what normal people define them as. Your book defines a fact as a close agreement by competent observers of a series of observations of the same phenomena. Well, basically it says, you look at something, you see what happened, and it seems to be this. Okay, that's a fact. They just make it technical, right? Well, competent observers, not just anybody you can't trust. A series of observations. You've seen it more than once, so it's consistent. You see what other people see. You're in close agreement, but you get the idea. A fact seems to be something that appears to be the way it is, and it's happened over and over again, and lots of people agree on it. So we call it a fact. Give me an example. The world is round. Is that a fact? Was it always? Did everybody think that was true? No, way back when, the fact was the world is flat. And that was a fact, because that was observations, and people agreed on it, and it was consistent. So I want you to realize facts can change in science when new knowledge is learned. We adjust them, admit our mistakes, good scientists are supposed to, and say, okay, now it's like this, we were wrong. But this better describes it, this is fact. So facts can change. A law, or sometimes a principle, law or principle, is defined as a general hypothesis or statement about the relationship of natural quantities that has been tested over and over again and has not yet been contradicted. So it's a hypothesis, educated guess. We think it's like this because of this. And it describes these relationships. This happens when this happens. When this increases, and by this much in this relationship. And we always seem to observe it that way. It's been tested, and it's never seemed to have been wrong. That's a law. We're going to start Wednesday on Newton's first law. And that falls into that. It's a bunch of facts together that makes a general hypothesis about the relationship between certain things. Now that too can be revised when we learn new facts. Hypotheses can be proved wrong and adjusted and fixed. And then lastly is a scientific theory. This one scientists have the most issues with, because people, oh, well, that's just a theory. Who's heard of string theory? Well, a fair amount of you. It has to do with quantum mechanics and whatnot. Well, it's a scientific theory. Does that mean, oh, well, yeah, it's just because you haven't proven it wrong? You don't know yet. It's just theoretically you think this is what happens. Well, this is what a theory is. A synthesis of a large body of information that encompasses well-tested and verified hypotheses about aspects of the natural world. So fact is kind of like one thing. A hypothesis is a little more general, describing relationships. And a theory encompasses all of this. And so it's usually really well-founded, well-tested. Problem with string theory, though, is they haven't been able to prove it right yet. But in science, it's more important to be able to prove something wrong. When you make a hypothesis, it's better when your question, can it be proved wrong? If it can't ever be proved wrong, we shouldn't be calling it science. There is some delineation. Example, can't prove it wrong. There are no worlds out there just like Earth. That's not a good one. Because as soon as we find one that is, there, we can disprove it. So that would be in the realm of science. How would you word it so that you could never prove it wrong? Something open-ended. I'm drawing a blank at the moment. There's examples in your book. Anyway, you get the idea there. I will end with the theory. Science to me is one way at truth. Religion's another way. Art is for some others. There's other ways at truth. Science just kind of corrals it and says, you can't call it science. You shouldn't be calling it science if you can't fall into what we've just discussed. How many of you have heard of intelligent design? Briefly, that has to do with, okay, we teach about evolution. Well, they want equal time for intelligent design. Basically, there's some creator that did it. It's one possible way. They both can be going on. Thing with that is it can't be tested. At this point, we can't prove it wrong. So they just don't want people calling it science. Don't ask us to teach it in science class. Doesn't mean it's any less valid, but that's the difference between what science is and other things. Science cannot cover everything. But what it does cover, I'll try to teach you this semester. Some different topics, and we'll have some fun. So, take care.